What is the deal with that eggplant emoji? Why does the poop emoji have a face? And what exactly is the meaning of the peach emoji? Well, in this video, we're going to find out the secret histories of some of your favorite emojis. So let's get started. Let's start off with one of the most universally recognized emojis in existence, the smiley face. It looks simple enough, right? Just a basic yellow circle with two eyes and a smile. But there's more to this emoji than meets the eye. For starters, you may have noticed that the classic smiley face emoji doesn't actually look all that happy. The creators of the emoji intended it to be a representation of an emotionless grin, kind of like what you might see on a mannequin. But perhaps the weirdest part about the smiley face is its unexpected origins. You see, the original purpose of the smiley face wasn't to represent an emotion, or even to be used as an emoji at all. In fact, the first use of the smiley face was as a corporate logo. That's right. In 1963, a marketing executive named Harvey Ball designed the now iconic smiley face as the logo for the State Street Bank and Trust Company in Boston. This may not have been the most inspired bit of advertising in history, but it did help people remember the name of the bank. And if that's all it was ever intended for, then why is everyone using it to express themselves these days? Well, after seeing the positive reaction that customers had to the smiley face logo, State Street enlisted Ball to design other logos too. Over the years, these designs were distributed throughout the company and eventually became a sort of underground morale booster among employees. But the smiley face didn't stay underground for long. In the late 70s, the New York Times published several articles about the origins of the smiley face, which led to its rapid adoption across the United States. These days, it's hard to imagine a world without the smiley face, but it's safe to say that had Harvey Ball known his creation would end up being used in quite such a widespread way, he might have asked for more money. But one smiley face emoji just isn't enough. There are plenty of different ways to smile, which is why we also have the smirking face emoji. It's subtle, but there is a key difference between the classic smiley face and the smirking emoji, namely, the placement of the eyebrows. If the eyebrows are above the smile, it's a smirk, and if they're above the eyes, it's a smile. But unlike the classic smiley face, which has remained pretty much unchanged since its inception, the smirking face has gone through several iterations. Originally, the smirking emoji looked nothing like it does today. Instead of having raised eyebrows, the early version had raised fists, as in the classic sign of a winker. Unfortunately, people seemed to find this emoji rather creepy, so it was redesigned. A few months later, the smirking emoji came back with what it has today, raised eyebrows. But it seems the designers didn't think this emoji would be all that popular either. Originally, the skin tone of the smirking face was white, which was weird because, up until recently, most emojis had default yellow skin tones. But in 2015, perhaps in response to feedback that the emoji appeared racist, the smirking emoji was given a darker skin tone. But it wasn't only the race of the emoji that needed revising. In 2017, Apple made yet another change to the smirking emoji by adding a bit of stubble to the guy. Now, this might seem pretty trivial, but when you consider the massive amount of criticism Apple has faced over the lack of diversity in its emojis, it's clear that this was no small decision. Of course, adding facial hair to a cartoon character that already had none ain't exactly the same as creating a completely new emoji from scratch. But hey, it's a step in the right direction. And speaking of poop, it's time we talked about the poop emoji. Yeah. No other emoji has caused quite the stir as the poop emoji. Some have argued that it's too realistic, while others contend that it bears an uncanny resemblance to certain celebrities. But the strange thing about the poop emoji is that it was never meant to look like anything at all. According to the co-creator of the emoji, it was literally just supposed to be a pile of poop. The poop emoji was introduced to the world in 2010 as part of the iOS 5.0 update. And from the very beginning, people started to wonder who exactly approved this emoji and why. Sure, Apple had included plenty of goofy emojis before, including the aforementioned winking poop emoji, but this one was different. It was more detailed, more realistic, and just gross. But the people behind the scenes were actually trying to make the poop emoji as simple as possible. They wanted to avoid any kind of copyright issues, which is why the emoji doesn't have legs or arms or any other distinguishing features. But the lack of detail turned out to be a blessing in disguise because it gave people free rein to interpret the emoji however they wanted. And since then, the poop emoji has taken on a life of its own. And sometimes people take things a little too far. We'll tell you about that next. But first, if you're enjoying this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. It really helps us out. And while you're at it, why not subscribe? We've got lots more fun videos coming up. Now, ever since the poop emoji was released, it hasn't been uncommon for people to use it in place of the laughing, crying emoji. And don't get me wrong, that's fine. Poop happens to be funny. But the problem arises when people take the poop emoji too far, like when users began posting pictures of their actual poop on social media using the hashtag poop emoji. It was gross, it was unnecessary, but it was harmless. That was until 18-year-old Michael R. Brandon posted a picture of a bloody stool sample to Twitter along with the caption, "Check out my bloody poop." Needless to say, this wasn't exactly appropriate for Twitter. And when the tweet went viral, many people accused Brandon of trying to provoke them. Eventually, Brandon was arrested and charged with transmitting a prohibited weapon, aka a bloody stool sample. And while prosecutors tried to argue that the image could be interpreted as a threat, ultimately the charges against Brandon were dropped. But whether or not you thought this was a crime, one thing is for sure: it made the poop emoji pretty controversial. If you want to avoid any potential controversy, one emoji you should probably steer clear of is the eggplant. It looks innocent enough, just a purple vegetable. But ask anyone who's spent any time on social media, and they'll tell you that the eggplant has taken on a whole new meaning. In fact, it's often used as a euphemism for a body part. And while we won't be showing you that body part, we will tell you where the eggplant emoji came from. Back in 2010, people were already using the eggplant emoji as a sneaky way to talk about adult topics. But it wasn't until 2 years later that the emoji made its debut in the iOS 6.0 update. And from the very beginning, Apple knew that the eggplant could be used for more than just foodie posts. After all, the company had already created a handful of suggestive emojis, including the peach emoji, which is obviously a stand-in for something else entirely. And while the peach emoji was somewhat controversial, it was nothing compared to the eggplant. The moment the eggplant emoji was released, people lost their minds. The internet was flooded with eggplant memes, many of which were sexual in nature. And before long, even non-native English speakers were using the eggplant emoji. But despite the racy connotations of the eggplant emoji, Apple hasn't been shy about promoting it. Case in point, the company's emoji cheat sheet, which shows the eggplant emoji being used in a perfectly normal context. But once the internet gets a hold of something, there's no turning back. So don't expect Apple to retire the eggplant anytime soon. And while we're on the topic of suggestive emojis, let's talk about the peach. Unlike the eggplant, the peach emoji has been around since the beginning. When Apple first released its collection of emojis in 2011, the peach was part of the initial set. But from the very beginning, people noticed that the peach emoji bore an uncanny resemblance to certain body parts. And as you might have guessed, this didn't go unnoticed by Apple. In fact, the company's original proposal for the peach emoji included a side view of the fruit, which would have made it much less ambiguous. But that drawing was rejected, likely due to the fact that it would have been difficult to animate. So instead, Apple went with an emoji that closely resembled a butt, complete with the perfect butt crack. And well, the rest is history. These days, you're just as likely to find the peach emoji used as a euphemism for butt as you are to find it used to describe the real fruit. And while it's impossible to say whether or not the peach emoji will ever revert back to its original meaning, one thing is for sure: the peach emoji has come a long way since its introduction nearly a decade ago. Thanks for watching.